What if I told you the footage Stevie J just dropped makes Scandival look like a kindergarten playdate? What if I told you that everything we thought we knew about Bambi, Scrappy, and the fake pregnancy drama was just the tip of the reality TV dumpster fire? Because baby, what just leaked is so outrageous, so raw, and so unfiltered makes courtroom cameras and green screen confessionals look like church sermons. We're talking hidden cameras, forged documents, voice notes. And a meltdown so explosive, it makes Wendy Williams fainting on live TV look like a warm-up act. Why was Bambi really pacing that hotel room? Why did Stevie J have 17 USB drives, labeled insurance? And who gave him the green light to burn VH1 to the ground with the receipts of the decade? This ain't no scripted episode. This is a lethal mix of betrayal, lies, and leaked audio that even the FBI would take notes on. So, buckle up. Grab your popcorn and maybe a lawyer, because this isn't just reality TV. This is reality, revenge, and Bambi. Sis didn't just lose it. She lost the whole plot. And what's coming next might just end her career for good. Let's rewind the tape, not just literally, but spiritually, because this mess didn't start in court. And it sure as hell didn't start with a USB. No, this fire's been smoldering for years. Bambi has been dancing on the edge of public sympathy and private scheming since she slithered onto the love and hip-hop scene. Some said she was misunderstood. Others said she was manipulative. But after what Stevie J just unleashed, in open court, ain't nobody giving her the benefit of the doubt now, because this wasn't just spilled tea. This was an industrial oil spill. A digital tsunami of betrayal, lies, and cold-blooded performance, and Bambi was the star of every single clip. Now picture this. It's a courtroom so tense you could slice. The silence with a reality check. Stevie J steps forward like he's dropping an album, except what he's about to play ain't music. It's murder. Not physical, emotional, and the victim. Scrappy. The man who thought he was building a family, but apparently was just an unwilling extra in a storyline pitched harder than a Netflix pilot. The moment that first clip hit the courtroom projector, the vibe shifted. Bambi pacing back and forth. In a hotel room, hoodie on, voice low. Scrappy thinks I'm really pregnant? That's on him. I told y'all I need that check. Boom! The room gasped like it was scripted. But it wasn't. That was real footage, real audio, and real low. Scrappy didn't say a word, didn't blink. But Mama D, oh, she turned into a whole Greek chorus. You let my baby cry over a fake child? She yelled from the gallery like a woman possessed. Meanwhile, Bambi started crumbling, shouting that it was fake, yelling it was a deep fake, edited whatever buzzword she could grab from TikTok law school. But Stevie, he just stood there, arms folded like a villain mid-monologue, letting the footage do the dragging. Trust there? Was more clip 2? Even worse. Different angle, same lies. Bambi on the phone, grinning like she just won a BET award. Yeah, I told Mona we got the pregnancy angle locked. Scrappy ain't asked no questions. He just happy I'm not yelling at him. Then she laughed hard, like the evil queen in a Disney reboot. I even got a dummy ultrasound from that spa on Melrose. They print whatever you want as long as you slide them an extra 100. The courtroom broke into chaos. One of the bailiffs tried to calm Mama D down, but she was in full tornado mode. You trifling snake. My son cried for that baby. Bambi yelled again, claiming it was scripted, but the judge wasn't having it. Sit down, Ms. Richardson, he said, firm, unmoved, while staring straight at the screen like he couldn't believe what he was watching. And yet, somehow, clip 3 went further. Bambi sitting on a hotel bed FaceTiming someone later confirmed to be another cast member saying, "We dropping the pregnancy bomb right before the reunion. That's 3 more episodes minimum." Mona said, if I get Scrappy emotional, I get the solo storyline, that's the bag. You could hear the producers in the back row squirming. One even stepped outside, probably to call their legal team or maybe just throw up in the hallway. Because now it wasn't just a scandal. Now it was corporate. Now it was about contracts, manipulation, and whether VH1 was complicit in covering up a staged pregnancy for views. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, the judge asked the million-dollar question. Mr. Stevie, how many of these recordings do you have? Stevie leaned back like he'd been waiting his whole life for that moment. 17, he said. Gasps. Audible gasps. You could hear a pin drop between heartbeats. But then came the legal grenade. Stevie's lawyer stood up and said, some were recorded with consent, some without. But we have reason to believe Ms. Bambi waived her rights through production. Contracts signed for season 12. The courtroom practically tilted. Bambi's lawyer stood up yelling about privacy laws and illegal recordings, but the judge shut it down. This just became a bigger case, he said. And right there, Bambi's face went pale. Scrappy still hadn't moved, hadn't said a word. But the camera caught his hand trembling, his eyes fixed straight ahead. And then clip 4 hit. Dim lighting. Bambi again, this time in full glam, nails tapping a champagne glass. It was a green screen confessional. I never planned to be pregnant, she said with a shrug. But Scrappy believes whatever I tell. Him when he's in love, that's his weakness. So I used it. Silence, not a single word from the room. Bambi broke it. That was cut. I was promised that wouldn't air. The judge asked, promised by who? And Bambi whispered Mona. Boom, just like that. Another name dragged into the mess. Mona Scott Young. The queen pin of reality TV. The puppet master now potentially complicit in a real-life legal scandal. The courtroom wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a live crime scene. Emotional wreckage everywhere. And just when the shock hit peak levels, the door opened again. A man in a VH1 staff badge, sweaty, pale, clutching a manila envelope. Your Honor, I have something to submit, he said, voice shaking. This is raw footage from an unaired ad bonus scene, the one Bambi begged us to delete. The judge waved him forward. The USB was loaded. The screen flickered to life again. And what played next sent the entire courtroom straight into madness. The tension in the room didn't break even when the judge slammed the gavel. It just shifted. Every eye in that courtroom was locked on the paused screen like it held the secret to life, death, and ratings. The clip labeled final footage hadn't played yet, but the weight of it already lingered in the air like smoke after a fire. As the courtroom slowly emptied for recess, Stevie J stayed behind, calm, smirking, like a man who knew the nuclear warhead hadn't even landed yet. Scrappy sat slumped, breathing heavy, body still, mind probably racing through years of memories now tainted by doubt. And Bambi, well, she was in shambles. Lipstick smeared, eyes wild, whispering to her lawyer in frantic bursts like she could negotiate her way out of being exposed on camera with her own words. But it was too late for damage control. Outside, the media had already turned the courthouse into a circus. Protesters showed up with signs that read, "Real women don't fake babies, and this ain't just TV. This is criminal." Bloggers were live streaming, fans were arguing in comment sections. And VH1 executives were sweating bullets in their black SUVs just around the corner. Watching the fire they helped spark burn completely out of control. When court resumed, no one needed to say a word. The judge entered, nodded once, and the screen flickered back to life. This wasn't like the earlier clips. There was no dramatic lighting, no background music, no scripted tone. It was raw, handheld, and way too intimate. The video began with a shaky pan of a dimly lit hotel room. The timestamp in the corner was unmistakable, 2 weeks before Bambi ever told Scrappy she was pregnant. Stevie J's voice was off camera. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked. The camera turned toward the mirror. There was Bambi, hoodie, no makeup, pacing like she was rehearsing a monologue. "He bought it, right?" she asked. Stevie's voice answered. He cried. Bambi laughed, cold and hollow. "Good, that's what he gets." The courtroom was a vacuum. You could hear the static of the video and the heartbeat of every person watching. Bambi's face, on screen and in person, said everything. In the video, she was bold. In court, she was broken. And it wasn't over. The footage continued. "Stevie whispered. She told me she already had the sonogram made. Said she knew a girl at a med spa who could fake it." A woman in the courtroom gasped so loud that someone behind her reached to steady her. One of the VH1 producers stood up and rushed out the room. His phone pressed to his ear, probably calling their crisis PR team or maybe their lawyer. The judge didn't blink. He simply leaned back, arms crossed, watching like he was watching. The unraveling of an empire. And maybe he was, 'cause now, this wasn't just about a messy relationship. It was about media manipulation, fraud, and possibly criminal conspiracy. Then something unbelievable happened. Scrappy finally spoke. His voice cracked, hoarse-like it hadn't been used in hours. "You played with my heart, my daughter's life. You faked a baby for a storyline." He looked straight at Stevie J and you filmed it. Stevie raised an eyebrow. "You think you innocent, dog?" The judge raised a hand. "Gentlemen, this is not a reunion episode. This is a courtroom." But Stevie wasn't finished. "Let's talk about your nights with Erica. You think Bambi didn't know? You ain't the only one who got played?" The room exploded again. Erica, still seated in the gallery, didn't even blink. She was here for justice, not drama. But the crowd, they weren't ready. This had gone from scandal to emotional annihilation in under 5 minutes. The judge stood up. "Court will recess again." His hearing is spiraling into a full-blown investigation. But even as people stood to leave, nobody actually moved. The final blow had landed, but the echo was still bouncing around the courtroom walls. Outside, TMZ had already published leaked stills from the footage. Bambi's final lie. The headline read, plastered next to a blurry frame of her laughing on camera. Social media was in flames. Team Scrappy. Team Stevie. Team Nobody. Everyone had an opinion, but no one had the whole truth. Not yet. Behind the scenes, though, moves were being made. In the judge's chambers, papers were signed. Warrants, subpoenas, a full legal investigation was now official. VH1 was being subpoenaed for all raw footage. Bambi's medical records were being demanded. And Stevie J's footage vault was being locked down as evidence. And just when it seemed the flames couldn't get higher, a sheriff walked into the courtroom with an arrest order. Yes, an actual arrest order for Bambi on charges of falsifying medical documents, obstruction of justice, and defamation. She was handcuffed right there in front of the cameras, her lashes falling off and her pride trailing behind her like a busted weave. Scrappy watched it all unfold with tears in his eyes. Not tears for Bambi, tears for the version of love he thought he had. As the bailiffs walked her out, she screamed, "I didn't mean for this to happen. I just wanted him to regret leaving me." But no, one was listening anymore. Outside, the crowd had tripled. Some were yelling for justice. Others were yelling for Bambi to be freed. But the chaos was louder than any one voice. Meanwhile, Stevie J turned to the cameras and said, "This ain't even the worst tape I got." He winked. Reporters swarmed him like bees to sugar. Everyone wanted to know what's on the other 16 clips. Who else is involved? Are more arrests coming? And then, just when everyone thought the courtroom circus was over, a new voice emerged. A young intern from the VH1 team, barely out of college, stood trembling near the gallery exit. "There's one more folder," she said, holding up a flash drive. It was in the editor's trash bin labeled "Do Not Touch." The judge was notified. The crowd leaned forward. Stevie smirked. Scrappy didn't move. And Bambi, somewhere down the hallway in handcuffs, probably felt the cold slam of karma hit like a door she never thought would open. The judge called everyone back in. The gallery refilled like it was opening night at the hottest theater in town. The final unedited rawest of the raw was about to play. And whatever was on that drive had the power to bring down not just Bambi, not just Stevie, but an entire empire built on lies, manipulation, and drama dressed up as entertainment. The screen went dark again, but the silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was electric, thick with tension and disbelief, as if the room itself was processing trauma. The judge didn't say a word, simply leaned back in his chair, rubbed the bridge of his nose, and stared into space like he had just witnessed a crime scene play out in real time. Because he had. Everyone in that courtroom had. And outside those walls, the world was erupting. Paparazzi shoved mics into producers' faces. Bloggers were already live dissecting every frame of the footage, and VH1's PR team was reportedly scrambling to contain the fallout. But the damage was done. The truth was out. The fiction had become nonfiction, and the cameras had captured every second of it. Bambi's mugshot hit the internet like wildfire. Her teary, smudged face plastered across every gossip site within minutes. Scrappy's IG exploded with sympathy messages and fan art, showing him as a wounded king rising from the ashes. But behind the posts, there was pain, real pain that no filter could soften. Meanwhile, inside the judge's chambers, more legal gears were turning. A request was filed to seize every Love and Hip Hop production drive from the past 2 years. A formal letter of inquiry had already been drafted for Mona. Scott Young's direct involvement in storyline fabrication and potential coercion of cast members under false pretenses. And the judge, he wasn't treating this like a messy breakup anymore. He was treating it like a full-blown criminal conspiracy. Hours later, in a closed-door session, new subpoenas were issued. One for the fake med spa that allegedly created Bambi's sonogram. Another for the phone records that showed Bambi had contacted multiple cast members in a group chat titled Plot Twist Pipeline. That chat leaked within hours. Screenshots showed Bambi coaching the girls on what to say, when to cry, and how to draw out the sympathy. In one message she wrote, "We play the audience like a violin. Ratings are the goal. Don't lose focus." But the audience wasn't clapping anymore. They were furious. Real mothers, real families, real people who had suffered real losses were now speaking up, calling her actions disgusting and unforgivable. Even former cast members started coming out the woodwork. One tweeted, "I knew she was foul, but damn." Another posted a clip of Bambi crying at a past reunion with the caption, "Oscar-worthy." And Stevie J, he wasn't done. Hours after court recessed, he uploaded a short clip to his private channel. It was a piece of unused footage. No drama. Bambi laughing behind the scenes while a producer off-screen said, "He bought it." And she replied, "Of course, he always does. He's loyal." That's his flaw. The comment section was nuclear. Viewers dragged her through digital mud, questioning her morals, her motherhood, her soul. Some said she was broken. Others said she was a sociopath. But no one was defending her anymore. VH1 quickly released a follow-up statement. Effective immediately. Bambi has been suspended from all filming appearances and contractual obligations. We do not condone deception or manipulation under the guise of entertainment. But it was too late. Sponsors had already pulled out. Advertisers began yanking their banners off the show's website. Even some of the production crew started leaking anonymous statements, revealing how they were told to look the other way when storylines magically aligned with real-life tragedies. One email, allegedly from an executive producer, even read, "We don't need truth, we need traction." Scrappy, still reeling, finally went live days later. No background music, no captions. Just him sitting in his car, raw, real. He looked into the camera and said, "I ain't no saint. I done messed up plenty. But what she did, that wasn't just lying. That was war. Took my heart, my trust, and used them like props." I paused, eyes watering. To anyone watching, don't let no one play you like that. Someone got a lie to keep you. They was never yours to begin with. That clip alone got over 5 million views in 24 hours. But the story wasn't over. Because as the legal noose tightened, Bambi made one last desperate move. She requested to speak to the judge privately. No cameras, no press. Just her lawyer, and a final Hail Mary attempt to save herself. But the judge denied it. He said, the people deserved transparency. So the final hearing was public. Bambi took the stand, she cried, she confessed. And then she blamed Mona. She claimed she was pressured, manipulated, offered bonuses to fake scenes, and told to do what's necessary to secure a season arc. But when asked if she forged the medical papers herself, she nodded yes. That was it. The courtroom went cold. The gavel came down. Ms. Richardson, you are officially being referred to the district attorney for further charges. This court finds you in violation of ethical and legal boundaries, and you will face full consequences under the law. Stevie J smiled, Scrappy exhaled, and the internet. It erupted one last time. Some said justice was finally served. Others said this was just the beginning. But one thing was clear. When you fake a life for fame, reality will come for you eventually. And it doesn't need a camera crew to do it. If you think this story ends here, think again. Because when lies unravel on camera, it's not just a scandal, it's a collapse. Bambi didn't just break Scrappy's heart. She played with loyalty, trust, and the sacred bond of motherhood like they were just plot devices. And Stevie J, whether you call him the villain or the unexpected hero, one thing's for sure, he brought the receipts, and those receipts burned the whole house down. But now the real questions begin. Was Bambi just a puppet or the mastermind? Did Stevie expose the truth or just light the match for chaos? And Scrappy, was this his escape or just another chapter of heartbreak turned viral? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments, raw, unfiltered, and real. Who do you think deserves blame? Who's really the victim here? And do you think Mona and VH1 knew more than they let on? This story is far from over. If you want to be the first to catch the next leak, the next footage, the next twist, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and smash that like button. 'Cause around here, the truth always leaks in. Trust me, the next wave is even messier.